Welcome everyone to part 2 of our horsepower converter. In this section we're going to address two different problems. One is that we want the user to be able to do more than one conversion, and another problem is that we want a third condition in case the user enters something besides a 1 or a 2. So let's go ahead and get started. So addressing the idea of a third condition, we need to first change this if statement to an elif statement, which is short for else if. And then we can add a third condition here, and we'll say else, and we'll print a message to the user and say something like, please enter a 1 or a 2. So let's go ahead and run that and see if we get what we want. And I'm going to go ahead and restart my shell. Move this to where you can see it. And it says, do you want to convert from horsepower to watts or watts to horsepower? Enter a 1 or a 2. So we'll go ahead and enter a 3. And it says please enter a 1 or 2. Now the problem here is that it doesn't give us the prompt again in order to do another conversion, so we'll handle this now. So we want to use a while loop, and the while loop will continue as long as the user wants to do another conversion. So we'll say something like, oh, let's create a variable called try again, and we'll set the default to yes. We'll assume the user wants to do another conversion, or if they mistype a number, they want to also do another conversion. So we'll do a while loop, and then we will create a Boolean condition for it to evaluate. Boolean condition either evaluates to true or false. So we'll say while try again is equal to yes, or try again is equal to y. We'll do the conversion, and since there's a semicolon here, we'll have to indent all of this information inside the while loop. So we'll highlight it, go to format, and go to indent. Then if one of these conditions is met, it will do the calculation, or it will spit out an error message. And then when we're done, we need to ask the user again if they want to do another conversion. So we'll say something like, try again is equal to raw input. And we can use raw input here because we're asking for an answer that is a string rather than a number. And we can say something like, we'll repeat our input up there. So we'll say, do you want to convert from horsepower to watts or watts to horsepower? And then what we need to do here is we need to set this to yes or no. So instead of printing it out, we need to say try again is equal to raw input close off our prompt. So the first time through, we just need to print this out, and the second time through, we need to ask if they want to do it and register their answer. So this actually would be better if it went back to our print statement. Otherwise, I think it's going to ask us twice. Let me run it and see if we get what we want. So end of file error means that we're probably missing a parenthesis somewhere. And it says down here, so let's check over here. And yes, we're missing a closed parentheses. Alright, let's try running it again. Do you want, so we'll enter a 1 and we'll enter 10. And do you want to convert from horsepower to watts or watts to horsepower? And so I need a different message here because it's not that I want to convert from watts to horsepower. I just want to know if I want to do another conversion. So let's go ahead and close this off. And we need a better message. And we'll say, do you want to do another conversion? And then maybe this message up here should read not do you want to convert from horsepower to watts, but this program converts from horsepower to watts. Or watts to horsepower. And that way it's a statement rather than a question. So let's go ahead and run it. So we see in here that we've got this program converts from horsepower to watts or watts to horsepower. Enter a 1 for horsepower to watts and 2 for watts to horsepower. So we'll do 2. We'll enter 345 watts, which means we're about half a horsepower. And do you want to do another conversion? I'll type in Y. And then it says it goes through the loop again by stating what the program does. And we can enter a 1 this time. And we'll do 32 horses, which equals 2,380. Let's see, we've got 23,862.39584 watts. And we'll say no. And because we didn't enter a yes or a Y, it exits the loop. So the next thing that we need to do is let's round our values because we only need maybe 1 significant digit or 2 at the most. So let's go back to where we print out watts and horsepower in each of these cases. And so what we want to do is round the values. So to do this, what I'm going to do is inside the parentheses I'm going to type in round. And notice that it asks me for the number, which is in the variable horses, and the number of digits that we want to round to. So I'm going to do horses, comma 2. And I'll do the same thing inside of watts. We'll say round. And then we'll say watts, comma 2. And we'll have to do this also down below here. So we'll say round, watts, comma 2, and round, horses, comma 2. So let's run the program and see if we get the rounding values we want. And we're missing a parenthesis somewhere. So notice it highlights where it thinks we're missing a parenthesis. So let's check it out. Well, that was correct before. So it's most likely we did it. Yes. So it's most likely that we did it in the last thing that we changed. So notice here that I added round and I added initial parentheses, but I only have 1 exterior closing parentheses where I need 1 for horses and 1 for round. So I'll need to put another parentheses here, another parentheses down below, and then we'll scroll over to the left, to the right, and add a second parentheses outside here and here. Okay, so we'll enter 1, we'll enter 10 horses, and now we get a rounded value, and we'll do another conversion, and we'll say 2 for watts, and we'll enter a number of watts, and just let me move this so we can see the result down below. And we have a value rounded to 2 decimal places. Do we want to do another conversion? No. Alright, so in our third section or video, we will learn how to separate this program into separate pieces of code called functions that can be reused. See you then. Bye.